Okay. Hey, I just watched the Avengers a few days ago, and I saw a bunch of reviews. And one thing a lot of the reviews had in common was that they were upset that you didn't have any emotional connection to the characters. Thus, you didn't really feel any sense of dread or terror or threat when the villain Loki came into the picture and started tearing up the city. You actually felt like they were not in any real danger. And then, of course, they kept comparing it to the one movie where you did feel like you were in genuine danger, like the best superhero movie of all time, The Dark Knight, and how the Joker really was a threat, and how he did influence emotion in all the characters in the movie, and how there was a sense of dread and loss and such a moody and foreboding feel to it because, come on, it's the Joker, and it really makes Batman, the world's greatest detective, look like a little kid because he doesn't really know how to stop a madman like that, and also influences a straight and narrow guy such as Harvey Dent and turns him over into becoming one of the greatest villains in the DC universe as well. This movie, on the other hand, does not accomplish all of that. And what I want to really get off my chest is the fact that they're two completely different movies. You can't compare a movie like The Avengers to The Dark Knight. That's like comparing Hangover to Black Swan. They're two completely different movies trying to attempt and elicit a reaction out of the audience that they're trying to get out of the audience. The Hangover is trying to make you laugh. It's considered by most people to be one of the greatest comedies of this decade. I don't believe that, but that's what many people believe. Can you put that on a lower scale than Black Swan because it's not a drama? Can you put that on a lower scale than Black Swan because there's not a really dramatic emotional connection between the characters? Of course not. That's not what it's trying to be. That's not what it's trying to accomplish. This movie, The Avengers, is about the team. It's about the team coming together. Loki is just that stepping stone they need to become the team. He's just there to serve the purpose as the glue that puts this team together. It's like Star Trek, the new generation Star Trek in 2009, where the villain Nero is what many people believe to be a weak villain. But it was not about Nero. It was about Kirk and Spock and Bones and Uhura and Scotty and Chekhov and Sulu. And if I'm missing somebody, I don't know. The team in Star Trek is looking long as shit. The whole movie's purpose, the whole villain's purpose, Nero, was to get this team together. His whole purpose was to make sure that this team would find a way to work together to beat this villain who's from the future, who they had no chance to get, and the only way to do that is to have Kirk become leader. That's what this villain was for. He was there no more than to serve his purpose as the glue to put this team together. That's why, just like Avengers, Star Trek focused mainly on the team's interaction and the interaction between the characters, like Avengers sure as hell did. It's always Captain America arguing with Iron Man arguing with Nick Fury, Hulk and Iron Man thinking alike, Thor and Captain America arguing. It's always about their connection. Are they a team, or are they just, as the Hulk would call them, a time bomb? And that's what this whole movie was about. You can't really take off points because it's not dark and dramatic. And if they did make it dark and dramatic, especially as dark and dramatic as The Dark Knight, it would make any of the humor seem really misplaced and awkward to the point where it would feel unnecessary to have it in there. And then if they took away all the humor and just kept the drama, it would be like The Dark Knight, and you would miss what makes superhero movies. The Dark Knight is its own movie. You should not compare it to other superhero movies, and not all superhero movies should thrive to be like The Dark Knight. Please, I don't want that. I don't like critics saying movies should be like The Dark Knight. You don't want to see a dark superhero movie. I don't want to feel emotional dread and loss for this character. I want to feel that whenever this character shows up on screen, you feel a sense of happiness and excitement to where you know this hero is going to win. You never know Batman's going to win. And the one feeling you don't get from The Dark Knight is happiness. You can never use the word happy to describe The Dark Knight. And that's the problem many people have with all these movies. They want them to be as dark as The Dark Knight. They want you to feel an emotional connection as deep as you would feel when watching The Dark Knight. And I don't think that's how these movies should become, or how they should be. Do you remember those Superman movies? The first two from the 80s or 90s or whatever? Or those old superhero cartoons, the Super Friends or the Superman cartoons, where you didn't really get much when it comes to his character, but what you really got was Superman, his alter ego. That's what you cared about. Him showing up. And when he showed up, you had a huge smile on your face because you know that this villain isn't that strong, but Superman is. And that this obstacle is just there to have Superman fight against it because you love his alter ego. You love his persona, that he's his own character is channeling into this character, and that you want him to win. You don't get that from Batman. Batman, you're pretty much thinking, oh my god, is he gonna make it? Come on, Batman, you can do this. This guy's hardcore. He needs to go down. He needs to die right now. In the Avengers, when they came up as a team, I had chills in my spine. I felt, yes, these heroes are going to save the day. I never once felt like they were going to lose. You have to feel that way during a superhero movie. And when you make it dramatic, you're not going to feel that way. You're going to lose the whole superhero feel you get from these superhero movies, you know? And I already know many people are going to like disagree with me on this, but I felt like, hey, it's YouTube. I might as well bring up my opinions on it. I'd like to hear what your opinion on this is in the comment section below. Because I already know that in The Dark Knight Rises is going to be considered better than this movie, The Avengers, because it's so dark and it's serious and it's well made. And while that may be the case, and it may even heck be better than The Dark Knight, I don't think you should really compare two different movies. Especially when the humor is one of the main focuses of The Avenger. The humor and the lighthearted drama, it kind of contains, if lighthearted drama is kind of a phrase you can put together, if it's not an oxymoron, because it is a drama. There are emotional characterizations to these characters. You do like these characters. Every single one of their movies had emotional characteristics to them. The Iron Man movie had to do with him and like making his weapons and realizing people are dying from these weapons. People on the wrong side, innocent people, are dying from weapons that terrorists are using. Captain America felt emotional connection when he found out that his own brother was killed by these Nazis, when he found out that he had to drown his whole ship in order to save the day. Yeah, that was definitely an emotional connection. Thor had it when he was a huge egotistical jerk at the beginning of the movie, and finding out that these humans are not as bad as they say they are, and realizing that they themselves have just as much a right to live as he does. That's an emotional connection. And Hulk is pretty much not as good version as The Dark Knight. It's pretty much just a depressing movie. How it's in the same universe is beyond me. But yeah, they all need that. Do you really need those emotional connections brought up again in this movie? This is not Lord of the Rings. You don't need it to be 3.5 hours long. You know what these characters are. You like these characters from these other movies. You don't need to have them re-explain again. Yeah, this villain isn't a very powerful and strong villain, but he's there to serve the purpose to bring this team together. Just like in Star Trek, Nero's purpose was to bring the team together, not to be a very strong, formidable opponent. Now, maybe in the next movie, since they're already a formidable team, the villain can have an emotional connection, and you'll start to see more of them and that villain having a personal gripe with each other. But until then, you know, don't get mad about this movie, okay? I mean, to bring up another example, in The Dark Knight, is it really a Batman movie or is it a Joker movie? You need to have it focus more on the villain or the hero. This movie focused more on the heroes and their team. Batman, The Dark Knight, focused more on the Joker. Think about it. You saw more of the Joker in the movie than you saw Batman. How Loki is just the stepping stone the team needs to get together. Batman is the stone that Joker needs to pass in order for him to take over the city and destroy the city and show Gotham its true colors, so to speak. Batman is just there for the Joker to get past. To be quite honest, there's no emotional connection with Batman in The Dark Knight. There is no character development for Bruce Wayne, to be quite honest. It focuses more on Harvey Dent's character than it does Bruce Wayne himself, because he already had all that character development in Batman Begins, just like these characters had in their own movies, you know? Anyways, I just like to hear what you guys' opinions are on that. If you don't like my opinion, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own. And I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Anyways, my name is Sly Glacier, and I'll see you tomorrow.